Well, good morning. It's so lovely to be here. We drove down yesterday from our home. We live up near Melbourne, Cocoa area, in that area, so about 7 hours in the car. And the way this generally works is I've been having a conversation with myself for a little bit of time, and that's what I generally share with you guys. And I just kind of wait for it to come through. Carolyn reached out a few weeks ago and said, "Oh, what's your talk title going to be?" I was like, "Really? What conversation am I going to be having at that time?" So it's been, I think it inspired me to have certain conversations, certain internal conversations. So Bob has currently 9 albums published, and he's working on his 10th. And I know of a few extra songs he's got stored in the library that aren't published. And so what happens is I have these conversations, and I'm like, "Oh, Bob's song, oh, that would be so good right there. That little, piece of the dialogue, that song would just fit perfectly there." And so as I'm trying to put something together in some cohesive fashion, 3 of Bob's songs are kind of integrated in the talk and a meditation as well in the middle of all of this. So as Aaron so beautifully said, we're going to talk about heaven or hell. And that's a pretty broad category, right? That's a pretty broad topic, especially when you're looking at the allegories and the metaphors and all of the fun that goes along with both of those spaces that we have within us and that we experience externally. And I figure, who else but to start talking about heaven and hell than Dante, right? So I'm going to start off by reading an excerpt from the Inferno, of course, and we will go from there. "How first I entered on that path astray, beset with sleep, I know not. This I know. When gained my feet the upward lighted way, I backward gazed, as one the drowning sea. The deep, strong tides has baffled and panting lies on the shelved shore and turns his eyes to see the league-wide wastes that held him. So mine eyes surveyed that fear, the while my wearied frame rested, and ever my heart's tossed lake became more quiet. Then from that pass released, which yet with living feet had no man left, I set my forward steps aslant the steep, that so my right foot, still the lower, I climbed."
First your heart goes cold, then your stare goes long. The fire in your eyes, the burning desire left long ago. You've been living your life for everyone else. You've been holding the weight of this whole wide world all by yourself. But these mountains that you carry on your back, you were only supposed to climb. You were doing your best, but it was never enough. To please the one in your head that scares you half to death. it doesn't exist. It's only up in your mind. The one that drains your cup and always puts you back at the end of the line. But these mountains that you carry on your back, you are only supposed to climb. From the day you were born, your path was already known, and it was one hell of a climb, and yours to do was take it one step at a time. But these mountains that you carry on your back, you were only supposed to climb. These mountains that you carry on your back, you were only supposed to climb.
These mountains that you carry on your back, maybe you were just supposed to climb them. I assume that I am not the only human being on this earth that has maybe at certain points in my life felt the proverbial weight of the world on my shoulders. Yes? Maybe I am, and that's okay too. These gloriously ripe decision test points that in the moment of choosing to put the proverbial weights in my backpack, they appear insurmountable. And by attempting to carry the mountain instead of climb it, I create a self-imposed drowning in my own sea of limited consciousness, just as Dante saw. Yet, at another critical test point, I decide to return the mountain to the earth and eventually find myself climbing, maybe even frenetically clawing my way through its depths to find some resemblance of myself when I can finally see my reflection and have that sun gloriously shining on my face. It's a pretty dramatic description of our spiritual journey. Fair? Not quite as poetic as Dante, yet it's the same familiar path for all of us that are seeking that seat closer to the all that is, to God, to that part of us, that pure divinity that we are as we show up in this individualized human form. So my question is the metaphorically infused concept of heaven closer to carrying the mountain or climbing the mountain? Is the concept of heaven more like carrying the mountain or climbing the mountain? That's what I expected. So this is where the fun begins. And of course, this may sound absurd, especially to those of us who generally, right, are programmed and believe and associate heaven with light, divine nature, true essence, and ascension. And opposite, right? If you want to go the polar extremes, and hell with darkness, ego, shadow, and the descent, right? Descending. In this definitive scenario, the obvious answer would be that heaven would be more closely to the climb. And most appropriately to the late part of the climb, as that sunlight kisses our face and we put our hands up in a victorious yes, like we made it to the top of the mountain. And we can look down and stare into the valleys below, right? So, as my amazing Peruvian mentors have taught me, everything is intention. So for this moment, I'm going to ask permission that we allow ourselves to shift our perspective just a tiny bit. And I would like to create, for this message, the collective agreement that the moment we choose to carry the mountain is the heavenly, divine act of ascension that our soul is craving. Heaven carries the darkness, the ego, and the shadow just for this message today, okay? Fair? So in this scenario, that means that the climb would be hell, where we experience lightness, divinity, and our true essence. And continuing on, reaching the mountaintop would be the ultimate celebration, marking the satisfaction of completing a temporary challenge as the hounds of hell howl in jubilation. Okay? We can't stay at the top of hell for an extended period of time. I mean, that's the top of the mountain. Let's face it, the air is thin. We need more oxygen. Food supply, pretty limited. And there's nobody else with us. These journeys, these spiritual journeys that we take, we have to make them on our own. If we're lucky enough to have a nearby mountain that might be adorned with a fellow victorious brother or sister, we may be excited and, have a neighbor for a few minutes. But they will also soon feel the void of human life and activity. Plus, I think we'd get tired of screaming across the mountaintops to each other and trying to have a conversation through the echoes. So imagine for a moment that our lives were continually experienced from the mountaintop. Maybe in our mind that place is ideal, there's no worries, everything's running smoothly, we're celebrating, there's nothing to care, there's nothing to fear. We made it up there. Wait, we made it. No more shit kickers on our feet. No more machetes in our hands. We don't have climbing rope tied to us anymore. Yet we long for the comforts of being grounded on earth. The smiles, the hugs from family and friends, the heart connections and the frustrations that happen within community, being part of a community. And we might just miss the opportunity to live a spontaneous life of choice. Kind of sounds like hell, doesn't it? Being stuck up there, that mountaintop. So with that, I want to invite you into a meditation, and whatever that looks like for you, find whatever position is comfortable in your chair. Allow your breath to activate all the cells in your body. And sink into that perspective shift that heaven is picking up that mountain and carrying it. And hell is that short temporary moment that we get to celebrate at the end of the journey. The climb. And I would like you in this moment to consider a little scenario. We'll call Jane standing on top of the mountaintop. And Jane's talking, yeah, man, I've got, a beautiful relationship. I've got a couple kids. They're both married. They both have kids. I've got grandkids running around. My son-in-law, boy, he gets a raise every single year. She's standing on top of that mountaintop and everything's ideal. Everything is the pure potential, the pure peace, the pure joy, the pure love that we know exists. How much growth is Jane experiencing? And for another moment, I want you to think about Rick. Rick, he's down in the valley. He's trudging through the mud and the muck of heaven. He's looking up there. He sees Jane way out there like a dot in the distance on top of that mountaintop. Yeah, man. One of my grandkids, man, he is struggling in school. He is so good at those liberal arts classes, but man, he is struggling with math. And he wants to be an engineer. I don't know what's wrong with him, but you know what? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to help him, and I'm going to help him get through this journey. And yeah, that car, my daughter's, man, her car is broken down, so they had to borrow our car, so, we're just here hanging out. TV went out last week from that storm that came through. So we're just playing board games. Grandkids come over, we get to talk to them. No TV to distract us, but man, we're looking forward to getting that TV back one day. How much do you think Rick is growing in that moment? How much growth can you imagine the people around Rick are experiencing in those simple trials? How much love does Rick get to share when he can see the potential and the possibilities in people around him and himself? So I invite you to just take a few minutes and honor those moments in your life where you were walking through that mud and the muck of heaven, when you had that mountain that you were carrying on your back. Maybe it's now. Maybe you're in one of those cycles now. What if that is heaven? What if? What lessons are you or did you learn? What beauty did you find in the middle of it all? And did you celebrate? Did you celebrate when the mountain came off and you reached the top? Just a short moment of hell.
Your mind, no lotus. Haven't you noticed the patterns of questions you needed to ask. Sleepless nights and the dizzying heights, and the dreams, some of which came true. Tough breaks, heartaches, perfect mistakes created this version of you. And everything you go through grows you, and everything you go through grows you, exposes who you are. If it hurt, it made you softer. If it was hard, it fueled the hunger. If it touched you, your heart took hold. If it was simple, it made you wise. If it was sweet, it made you smile. We've an indelible impression on your soul. Your feet, they walked, and your lips, they talked, and your hands dug around for the proof. Every look, every book, picture in your mind that you took created this version of you. And everything you go through grows you, and everything you go through grows you, exposes the roots of an endless summer, part-time temporary lovers, and the swoon of the deep blue sky. And as the time flew, you planted and gathered your truth as it glared before your eyes. And the wound is where the light gets in, revealing the masterpiece just beneath the skin. And in the glow of your own light, your petals open wide, and you bloom right where you are. And everything you go through grows you, exposes who you are. No mind, no lotus, haven't you noticed the patterns of the pain in your past? The things that broke you, well, they also awoke you to the questions that you need to ask.
So as we honor the time where we can sit in silence, that we can contemplate, that we can be guided into a questioning, a discernment. Let's take a moment to thank all of those heavenly test points of our lives. The light, the questioning, the answers, the revelations, the awarenesses, those aha moments that only those growth test points can bring us. Can we sit in honor and in reverence and in gratitude and appreciation for those moments? Heaven on earth. Heaven in human form. And as we breathe in that feeling of gratitude, that feeling of remembrance, putting our members, ourselves back together, remembrance. Allow that gratitude to fill your body. Push that gratitude out beyond your body with the exhale. Push, push, push it out beyond you. Send that feeling of gratitude out into the world. And as you feel the chair beneath you, maybe wiggle some digits. And when you're ready, find yourself back into this beautiful space. We need those little heavenly test points that bring an opportunity for us to challenge our own thoughts, our own beliefs, our own feelings. We need sometimes to pick up those mountains and trudge through the mud and the muck for a little while. Because it feels so darn good when we actually realize we can take the mountain off our back. That's the emotional and the mental and the spiritual and the physical release that we feel. We've all heard about heaven's pearly gates, right? And knocking on heaven's door. A gate is defined as an access point, an entry or exit, a separation of space, or a door that can be open or closed. The gate to heaven is the test point. The question is, do we see it as a formidable decision to avoid? Or maybe a quality control check for where our truth stands? In our current definition of heaven, for the sake of this message, and thank you for playing along, the gate would be a junction where we enter the mud. We pick up the mountain, we weather the storm, whatever metaphor works for you. There's tons of them out there. What's worthy of remembrance is that if we choose to proceed, we will eventually remove another barrier between us as our human ego self and us as our true divine essence. We grant ourselves permission to integrate and merge those two beings and to experience the divinity within us as humanity, the gate. If we never carried or waded through the trouble or the wound or trigger or the hurt, we would not get to feel it, know it, and see it. And we definitely would not understand the joys and the reliefs with all the simultaneous lessons and blessings and revelations and ahas that come with them, we wouldn't know what that feels like when we put down the mountain or we make it to the edge of that mud to solid ground. That's the gift. That's that little piece of heaven that's handed to us in the form of a seemingly impossible and daunting experience. Without the mountain on our back, we would have no seeds to sow. We would disconnect from our spiritual journey and our soul's growth would end. The lotus would never emerge. And once we deliver the mountain to that comfortable resting place, the climb begins, the ascent to hell. I know, come on, just work with me today. The integration of all of the heavenly messages we uncovered during our schlep is often much harder than carrying the mountain itself. Leaving behind the victim and actually seeing our truth and how that affects our definition of reality can be absolutely and utterly gruesome. Our new system of beliefs will be questioned, they'll be threatened, they'll be tested the entire time we're climbing up that mountain. But every time, we create a new lotus seed that we can tuck away in our pocket as we're climbing up that mountain. The top of the mountain, hell, in our current situational arrangement, is worthy of celebration and remembrance in its own right. Without the struggles and outbursts and frustrations of our journey through heaven, we would not birth the seeds of insight and awareness to drop, nourish, and grow on our next descent back to heaven. We learn to appreciate the heat of the sun on our skin, the burning of our muscles from the recent climb, the passion for life that is sparked within our spirit. Those hellfires are the sparks of triumph and rebirth. They are the candles we get to blow out, spreading the knowledge and wisdom of our great journey. And we get to stay just long enough to brand the memories of those feelings into our soul. So when the call from earth is heard, luring us back into a new journey, we have to say yes. We know it's the only way our soul will shine. And shine brighter. Back to the darkness of heaven. But oh my goodness, that bright light of hell awaits at the end of the next journey. And I think that might just be worth the weight of the mountain in gold.
That was amazing.
Just a little piece of the conversations I have with myself, guys.
So we drove down here from Coco, from Melbourne area, and she really didn't even start this talk until we hit Key Largo. So that all came out from Key Largo to
Key West.
whatever key we're staying in. I'm not sure what that is. And I was trying to figure out, she tells me the songs as she's driving. She's like, you're going to start with these mountains, and you're going to play No Mud, No Lotus, and then you're going to end with Something's Gotta Burn. And I try to fill in the blanks. I had nothing. I had no idea where she was going to go. And I can't wait for part 2, which would be next Sunday. We're hanging out for the whole week. Yeah. So we were playing at a yoga festival a couple years ago, and one of the they had this woman who introduced. Do you guys know Krishna Das?
kirtan chant artist. Pretty well-known guy. He's amazing. But you know, us musicians and spiritual teachers of remembrance and all that, people don't know who we are. They don't know what we're going through. Maybe they think we're perfect or something. I don't know. We've run into things like that. And we're like, people are afraid to swear around us. We're like, you don't know us at all. But the way she described him, it took him 15 minutes to introduce him. He's that amazing. But the end of it, she said, so here is Krishna Das. He's been composting anger into beauty for 30 years. I thought that was so amazingly beautiful. So I wrote this song. I haven't sang this song in a long time, and I was told just yesterday or last night that I was going to sing it today. So I literally had to pull up one of my albums and listen to the lyrics. Find your fortress, burn it down. Tell all the men to take the night off and run into town. And raise one up for the liberated one. Stand up tall and watch it burn. All that you stood for and everything you learned, it makes a brilliant light in the summer sky, just like the 4th of July. Something's gotta burn, I tell you. Something's gotta burn inside. Something's gotta burn, I tell you. Something's gotta burn if you wanna shine. If you wanna shine. Greet the dragon face to face. Feel the heat, reach out and touch the flame. It makes a brilliant light in the summer sky, just like the 4th of July. Something's gotta burn, I tell you. Something's gotta burn inside. Something's gotta burn, I tell you. Something's gotta burn if you wanna shine. If you wanna shine. Something's gotta change. Fuel for the fire, fuel for the flame. You gotta see it, gotta feel it, gotta know it, gotta own it. If you ever wanna say goodbye. Greet the dragon face to face. Feel the heat, reach out and touch the flame. And give a gentle smile, 'cause you know that it's all up in your mind. Something's gotta burn, I tell you. Something's gotta burn inside. Something's gotta burn,